From the moment she walked into the small-town police station, Maria could feel the weight of eyes on her. She wasn't just a visitor. She was a black woman standing in a place where she already knew she wasn't welcome. She had come only to ask a simple question about her brother's car that had been towed. But the atmosphere in the room grew cold the instant she opened the door. At the front desk stood Officer Miller, a tall man with a stern face. His uniform was spotless, his boots polished to a shine. But his heart wasn't nearly as clean. The moment Maria approached, he let out a chuckle, the kind of laugh meant not to share joy but to belittle. "Well, well," he said with a smirk, looking her up and down. "I'm surprised you came here. People like you usually don't like following rules." The words stung. They weren't direct slurs, but the meaning was clear enough. His tone, the curl of his lips, and the arrogance in his voice cut deeper than any insult could. Maria clenched her jaw, holding back the urge to snap back. She just wanted to get her brother's car released. "I'm here to ask about the process," she said calmly. Though her hands trembled, Miller leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Of course you are. Let's see if you can even understand the paperwork." The other officer in the room gave an uncomfortable glance but said nothing. Silence can be just as cruel as words. For Maria, the humiliation was sharp. She wasn't just fighting for her brother's car. She was fighting to keep her dignity intact in a place where she was already judged without a chance. She left the station that day with no answers, just paperwork shoved in her hand and the echo of mocking laughter behind her. Days passed, but fate has a way of flipping the script. One rainy evening, Maria was driving home from her night shift at the hospital. She was tired, her scrubs damp from the drizzle, when she saw flashing lights ahead. A car had swerved off the road and crashed into a ditch. Without a second thought, Maria pulled over, her heart pounding. As she ran toward the wreck, her breath caught in her throat. The mangled vehicle belonged to none other than Officer Miller. His car had spun out on the slippery road, and now it sat tilted against the embankment, smoke rising from under the hood. Inside, Miller was slumped over the steering wheel, struggling to breathe. For a moment, Maria froze. The memory of his mocking words came rushing back. She could have walked away. She could have said, "Now you know how it feels," but something stronger than bitterness rose inside her. Maria threw open the door, unbuckled his seatbelt, and checked his pulse with the steady hands of a trained nurse. "Stay with me," she said firmly. "I'm not going to let you die here." Her voice was calm, controlled, the very opposite of the ridicule she once received from him. She grabbed her medical kit from her car and began working quickly, stopping the bleeding from a cut on his forehead, stabilizing his breathing, and keeping him conscious until the ambulance arrived. Miller's eyes fluttered open, his gaze locking with hers. At first, confusion filled his face, then shock. He whispered, Why are you helping me?" Maria met his eyes, her expression steady. "Because your life matters. That's all that matters right now." The ambulance finally arrived, and Maria briefed the paramedics before stepping back. Her clothes were soaked, her hands smeared with blood, but her heart felt strangely light. She had chosen compassion over revenge. Weeks later, Miller walked into the hospital where Maria worked. He was dressed in plain clothes, a bandage still visible on his arm. He looked different, not just weaker from the accident, but humbled. "I needed to see you," he said quietly. "That night, you saved me, and I don't deserve it." His voice cracked, the arrogance gone. "I treated you with disrespect, with hate, but you didn't let me die. I'll never forget that." Maria nodded, her face calm but kind. "Sometimes we're tested," she replied. "Not to show our weakness, but to prove our strength. Hate divides us. Kindness heals." For the first time, Officer Miller truly looked at her, not as the woman he mocked, but as the human being who had saved his life. And from that day forward, his colleagues noticed a change. He no longer cracked jokes at others' expense. He spoke more carefully, listened more intently, and when someone new walked into the station, he treated them with the respect they deserved. Maria never asked for thanks. She didn't need praise. What mattered was the lesson. A heart once filled with prejudice had been cracked open by the very person it tried to belittle. In the end, it wasn't power, rank, or pride that changed Officer Miller. It was compassion. Maria's choice to rise above hate left an imprint no punishment ever could. Hate divides, but kindness heals. And sometimes, the best way to fight prejudice is not with anger, but with humanity.